Book category and genre, making sense of the system. First, we're going to attempt to define category and genre because there's a lot of confusion in this area. The best way I can think of this is to imagine category and genre like a nesting doll with category on the outside and everything else on the inside, but also like a family tree because you can drill down deeper once you get into genre. Puzzling? Only a little. Please note, this is a different conversation than genre fiction and literary fiction. For our purposes, we're aiming to help you learn where to best place your book for visibility, particularly on the virtual bookshelves. Category. In publishing, a category is a way to classify a form of writing originating when libraries and bookstores had to figure out where to put books on shelves. If they just lumped the crochet manuals with the books on economics with the westerns, how would their patrons and customers find what they were looking for? At the very top, there is fiction and nonfiction. All books fall into one or the other. Okay, don't yell at me. There are probably some exceptions, but by and large, this is an either-or case. From there, you can detour off into nonfiction with how-to manuals, cookbooks, and even our very own Write, Publish, Promote Your Novel with Amy and Ellie, which you've likely read. There's also fiction, which obviously you're familiar with. Before we travel down that road, since it's the focus of our course, we're going to make a pit stop. BISAC codes. There's an additional categorizing system to be aware of depending on whether you're traditionally published or self-published. BISAC codes. This stands for Book Industry Standards and Communications. It's a standard used by many companies throughout the supply chain to categorize books based on topical content. Applied to a book can determine where the work is shelved in a brick-and-mortar store or the genre under which it can be searched for in an internal database. In other words, the BISAC codes are words that identify the content of your book and often relate to the genre. Don't worry, we'll get there soon. This might be where the confusion comes from because, in this instance, the category defines the genre. If you're traditionally published, your publisher takes care of BISACs for you, but the information can be useful to know because it contributes to what genre your book falls under, particularly helpful at online retailers. If you're traditionally published and find your book under a bizarre genre, you can contact your publisher to inquire why it's there and or have it changed. Additionally, if you print on demand, some platforms request that you fill out the BISAC code field. Everyone still with me? Okay, let's get back on the road. Genre. Whether you're self-published or traditionally published, this is where the lines blur further. Genre tells us what the book is about, similar to the info I shared on BISAC codes. Some examples include contemporary, present day, fantasy, fiction in an unreal setting that often includes magic, magical creatures, or the supernatural, teen, young adult, westerns, religious, historical, and so on. But guess what? It continues. If you write romance, as I do, you can go further because there are numerous subgenres nestled under the romance umbrella. For instance, on Amazon and many of the other sites, as well as in libraries and bookstores, under romance there's also action and adventure romance, African American romance, anthologies, billionaires, clean and wholesome, contemporary, erotica, fantasy, gothic, historical, and so on down the alphabet. And then there are subgenres. So we're not done. We can keep going, really. You can break out into subgenres. For instance, under romance, paranormal, there are also vampires, werewolves, fae, ghosts, dragons, and the list goes on. I'm not even kidding. But I'll stop there because I think you're getting the gist. So why does genre matter? It helps readers know where to find your novel, assists digital retailers in knowing what pages to place your books, increases visibility if your book is an also bought of other books in your genre, helps you determine your target audience, authors of books in the same genre, and you can promote each other's work. What about your book? If it's clear where your book fits on the shelves, excellent. If you haven't already decided what you want to write or aren't sure where your book fits on the shelves, consider the character, setting, and themes. Peruse the genre filters on Amazon. Get clear so your book is more discoverable. Your book continued. If this seems overwhelming, remember, there's a place for you in the publishing world. Everything that exists is here to fill a need. Take self-publishing, for instance. Sure, it's been around for years in various iterations, but once Amazon got a hold of the concept and made it accessible, it really took off. I read somewhere an estimated 80% of Americans want to write a book. Amazon gave them the platform to publish. I'm not suggesting you grow an empire, but then again, why not? So what's missing in the bookish world? Think about it. What story can be told by you, in your voice? Then, where does it fit on the shelves? What are readers hungry for? What are you eager to write? Where's your bookshelf sweet spot? For example, I wish I had this course several years ago. After I wrote my first book, I heard query crickets. If you've ever queried agents, you know the ones I'm talking about. And then I delved into indie publishing. I had no idea what I was doing. I wish I had guidance, a how-to for what to do after the book was live. After years of trial and error, here we are. Focus. One of the biggest lessons I learned in my writing journey has been focus. In this instance, I'm referring to picking a genre and sticking to it. Early on, I wrote young adult contemporary, fantasy, women's romance, dystopian, and even a few how-to books that had nothing to do with writing. For me, it was fun exploring my interests. For my readers, I believe that because I lacked targeted focus, some of the books failed to gain traction. I didn't find the right audience. The sales platform technology didn't know how to classify my various books as they related to my author name, and readers who really liked my YA contemporary weren't necessarily going to read a paranormal romance about a surfer dude and a mermaid, and vice versa. While I read in multiple genres, not everyone does. That said, there are no hard and fast rules. There are countless authors who are traditionally published, indie, and hybrid who find success writing whatever their heart desires. YA fantasy, Regency romance, and a space opera can all find a home. But take care if you opt to write across multiple genres to do the work to find the individual audience as well as share your work with your general readership. One genre or multiple. The question, should I write in one genre or multiple, is frequently tossed around in writer forums. This is entirely up to you. But now that you know what genre is and why it's important, you can make an informed decision, leverage promotion strategies to reach your audience, and hopefully have them coming back hungry for more, whether they're a fan of you and anything and everything you write, or a fan of your books and want more of those. Whatever you do, write the best book you can.